Hey everybody, it's Bill from Matt-Trakker.com, and welcome to this episode of Behind the Mask. There comes a point in time in life when you have to grow up. And I decided to take that, under advisement and actually grow up. For the longest time, I had been collecting these toys and these memories. And I realized that, growing up means protecting them. So not everything I have is worth putting in a case or getting graded or something along those lines. I'm more about preserving the memories and the history of m.a.s.k. And there's a lot of other people out there that have, factory sealed everything and all the boxes and everything along those lines. That's not my collection. My collection is tangible. My collection is what it is. It's what I can afford. It's what I want to collect. And, I realized that while some of the pieces in my collection are, a little suspect and a little beaten up, there's some pieces in it that are actually pretty valuable. And I want to keep it as, pristine as I can. And basically it's some of the carded figures that I have. Not all of them are in great condition, and we'll go over that in a couple minutes. So what I decided to do was not only get some cases for those carded figures, but also I wanted to try out some figure stands too, because I'm going to go over what can happen if you put all your figures on one shelf and something causes it to possibly fall. We'll simulate that in a couple minutes. But before we do that, I want to take a look at these cases here and see what we got. All right. So we have a clear acrylic case. You can kind of see the depth of it here. It's hollow, in case you were wondering. And it has slots here to hold the figures. It's gonna be hard to see in the video here with the light reflection, but you slide off the top and you can see the slots here a little bit better. So if you have like mint in package figures, they'll slide right in. If you don't have mint in package figures, don't let that concern you. If you want to put all of your carded figures in a case, you can do that. And I'll show you how to do that in a couple of minutes. But I want to take one of the ones here that I have that will slide right in. And that is an unpunched 2-pack of Miles Mayhem and Matt-Trakker. You might have heard of these guys. And what I'm going to do is going to take it and slide it right on in there. So you got the top part and the bottom part to hold it in place. Put the top on. We'll do that. So you just put the top on. There you go. You're protected from dust. You're protected from everything else. And I use the command strips for these, and that's how I will be displaying them once I get them on the wall. It's got a little weight to it, so I would actually use 2 command strips. A lot of times I would go 1, but here I'm going to go 2 on each side. So if you're looking to display them on the wall instead of just maybe putting them up in, on a shelf or something like that, you're definitely going to want to use 2. I suggest 2 of the larger ones for it, just because you don't want it to fall and maybe damage the box. So I have another one here. The top is off. I have it here like this. And here's one here that I have. It might not be familiar to everybody, but this is the racing arena. The package is bent in the bottom and the top, so it won't slide right in, but don't let that deter you, because you can still slide it into the case and turn it on its top here, and that way there, when you're putting it in, it will still fit inside the case. And then you put the top on. There you go. Now you'll have to center it a little bit and kind of, make sure it's not going to be bent at all. But like I said, if you have some of the cases, they might not slide right in, but you can still display them and keep them protected from dust and everything else you're trying to do. Now let's go to the extreme here. If you watched the episode where I talked about my carded figures, this guy here, I wish I knew the backstory, but I'm guessing flood coupled with sun exposure. So you can see this here. Now, this obviously will not slide right in. And it's the same principle. If I wanted to take all of the ones I had and get them in there, just kind of push it in. In there. There you go. You put the top on. And then you can display them all. So there's a good way to go about this. And there is a different set not a different set, but a different case if you have T-Bob and Scott from the seller. And I'm going to post the eBay link for these in the description. But he's also a member of the m.a.s.k community. His name's Ian. And Mike, you were asking about a mug. Well, because of the fact that I was able to find him based on your suggestion for the stands, and I asked, do you have cases? I'm going to send you a mug. So that'll be coming your way. Not just because of the fact that you do a tremendous job at moderating the Mass Toy Collectors Facebook page, but for that suggestion as well, posting that. And the seller has a ton of cases. If you're looking to, it literally, I was scrolling through it, and almost anything you think of, there's a case for it. And if you're looking to protect your collection, protect the investment that you have, until eventually you maybe sell it, pass it on to somebody else, pass it on to your kids, this is a good way to do it. And these cases aren't that expensive, about $19 each. And it's a really good investment if you're trying to protect, those pieces moving forward. So I suggest it if you can afford it. So not everybody might be able to afford it, but there's a certain point in time when you have to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Like I said, I decided to grow up and keep my toys protected. So it was a big moment for me. The shipping was instant, pleasure to work with. Any questions I had were answered immediately. So if you're looking to, like I said, protect anything else, just ask the seller. I'm sure he'll be able to accommodate you the best he can. But it wasn't just cases that I got. It was also some figure stands. Now, if you're familiar with the channel, I do not have the figures, the m.a.s.k figures. And I've been doing this for how many years now? I still can't. When I'm looking at myself recording, I get confused on where I'm pointing. There. Got it. I don't have the figures next to the vehicles. I have a shelf here that my grandfather built years ago for hockey cards. It just so happens that this was the perfect mechanism for displaying the entire figure collection at once. Now, I will say this, that sometimes you know, things happen and things might fall. And well, I've lost a couple things down the line from it. Um, nothing too bad. I've had to replace a couple things because of it. And I said I was going to show something with this, but you can kind of get the idea. And I'm not going to show. I'm not going to simulate anything because I feel like I would. If you've watched the show, if I do anything like that, everything's just going to explode. I'm not going to do that. But years ago, the shelf fell, with the entire line of figures on it, with all the Argentina figures and the harder to find masks, etc. Luckily, nothing broke except for how it was held together. It was held together. I mean, it's really heavy. It was held together with like really strong twine, but it, eroded over time and it fell. Now I use zip ties behind it. So the zip ties hold it up and I have everything going right there. So it's going to stay that way. But there is something that I won't put on that shelf. And that is one of my, the only remaining, Collider Repaint mask that was pushed out with, the Buzzard set. I had two, and if you watched it years ago, I did a video on what I've lost and how I lost it. So I'm not putting this up on the shelf. So I have some figure stands here. So the ones you're going to want to get from the seller. There you go, Star Stance Type 7. And open the package up here. Don't worry, the package, it wasn't worth anything that I know of. So I think we're okay. All right, we got the peg, we got the figure, and we're going to put them in there. I'm just doing it down here because it's hard to do in the air. But now, here, we have this figure on a stand. And what's going to happen is it's going to go right there next to Stinger. For the longest time, if you've been watching, he's been sitting inside Stinger. I thought that was a safe place, but now he's going to stand next to it. The stands, if you're going to display the collection in these IKEA, glass cases or any other display purposes, and if you're really serious about it, if you don't want to put everything up on a shelf that my grandfather built, I don't know if he's going to be able to manufacture anymore, but you get the idea. If you don't want to do that and you want to display everything next to it, the little bumps are just going to knock them over. Everything behind me here, the things that have wobbly legs or just don't really stand on their own have a stand under them to keep them upright. And the M.a.s.k figures are no exception here. So if you're looking to do this, you get, there's packs of 20, there's larger packs too. Depending on how many you have and how many you're going with. And obviously if you're, you get the clear stand, it doesn't take away from what you're displaying. It doesn't take away from the, what you're looking at on the figure, and it protects it from falling. And the slightest fall can break a brittle M.a.s.k. I'm telling you this from experience. So, the season, the racing season, those M.a.s.ks, they're really brittle. Most of them are hard. They got hard over time. I don't know what they did, but especially like the Brad Turner Eclipse M.a.s.k, there's certain ones that just harden and break. So make sure you're protecting your collection with this as well. Even if it's not behind a protective glass or anything else like that, standing them on these stands will prevent them from breaking. So if you have any questions about anything I've talked about here, post them in the comments, but I highly recommend looking into these elements here if you're serious about protecting your collection, displaying your collection, especially if, obviously if it's loose, if everything you have is graded in the package, then these aren't for you. But these are for the regular collector, the collector that's maybe doesn't have every figure plus playful ones. This is for the the casual collector. This is for the big time collector that has loose stuff on display. Protect it if you can. So again, any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer. But again, link will be in the description to go to the eBay sites for these. And also remember too that we have the t-shirt giveaway coming up. There'll be a announcement coming soon. It'll be out, announcement for when we're going to do the live drawing. There'll be 8 people picked at random to put on the Wheel of Illusion. If you watch Talking Overtime, you know what that is. If you don't, check out the episodes. I'll put a link in the description for the latest one. The Wheel of Illusion will pick the winner of the t-shirt. And everybody, good luck. It's all random until we get to the wheel. And the wheel then is random as well. So until next time, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help keep M.a.s.k alive. And this is Bill from Matt-Trakker.com. And I will talk to you later. Spectrum's got such supervision.